everybody. I'm glad to hear not everybody, but things are going well for folks getting shots, and we're making some progress. And each person that gets vaccinated is one person out of the queue and moves us up a notch for our shot. So that's good news. Today, let's see here. Let me move to our agenda. Share screen. Agenda. Share screen. There we go. Hopefully everybody can see that. This is our usual slideshow. If anybody has a problem, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and proceed. Okay. It's Valentine's month, so happy Valentine's Day, everybody. That's tomorrow.
Thank you.
I hope you have a nice day. Do we have any guests today? I didn't see anybody new, but I don't think so. Anybody a guest?
No.
No? Okay. Board of directors remain the same. Linda has joined us today. That's great. Bobby's here. Linda Rolfing is not. JJ is in and out, and Linda Kadelk is here. So we've got most of the folks on board. Special interest advisors remain the same. Volunteers remain the same. Lester, you don't have to do much setup for this, so you get a break. Yeah. Mike is our newsletter editor, and Liz, good to see you. We'll start off with our business meeting, which we're doing now, and then we'll get into our presentation a little later about creating your own email folders. Future meetings, each of these are set up on the second Saturday of the month. Right now, as far ahead as we can see, we expect them to be Zoom meetings instead of in person. I sent an email. I'm not sure if I sent it in an email or mentioned it in one of my newsletter articles, but I did contact State Bank of the Lakes about availability of their meeting room for our picnic in July and or our Christmas party, a holiday party in December. And I heard back from Allison, the lady who schedules those things. She said at the present time, they are not scheduling their meeting room. And don't know when they will be. So I'm guessing we will not be able to hold our picnic there at State Bank of the Lakes in July, although certainly as we get closer, we'll keep checking. We may or may not be able to use their meeting room for a holiday party in December. But she promised to get back to me when and if they decide to open up later in the year, so we can make sure we get our foot in the door for December. We have elections coming up in April. Actually, as I remember correctly, I think we've ended up serving 3-year terms instead of 2. We're now doing 2-year terms for officers. We will be looking for nominations in March from everybody, and then asking for a vote in April for officers for the next 2 years. So please think about that. Think about who you might like to nominate. Think if you'd like to volunteer yourself. We welcome volunteers as well. And we'll talk about that more in March. JJ has started putting together a presentation for all-in-one computers. He was going to do it today, but he has a conflict. So we're moving ahead with our file management discussion. We anticipate that will extend into at least one more meeting so that we would complete that discussion at our April meeting. Beyond that, we welcome your thoughts and suggestions for programs. If you'd like to volunteer, if you have a subject that the club would like to hear about, by all means, please let myself know or let Linda Rolfing know. And we'd be happy to fit you into the schedule. Business reports. Bobby, anything to report? I'll take that as a no. Judy, I don't think is here, but I don't anticipate we've had much change. We were at a little under $3,000, I think, or around $3,000 in our bank account last meeting, and I'm anticipating that's about the same. Membership, JJ asked me to acknowledge. I believe you may have been acknowledged before, but we can't do it too many times. We have 3 new members, David Glish and Dean Berglund from Milwaukee Computer Society, who've been with us now for a number of months, and more recently, Phil and Sue Machowski. We were just talking about Phil's appointment. He's off getting shot while we're having our meeting, but Phil and Sue, welcome.
You may want to rephrase that.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't resist. Yes. Hopefully it's just a flesh wound. Okay, moving right along. Publicity, Linda, thank you for continuing to faithfully get our name and publicity out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get some more takers. And Mike, thanks again for all your work on the newsletter.
JJ's been doing it.
Well, I know, but you got your name on the masthead, so you get the credit. If you can find somebody else to do it for you, good for you. But yes, JJ and Mike have been coordinating on the newsletter, and there's really lots of good stuff in there. So you need to check that out. And programs we've already talked about. Just to refresh your memory, this is a list that we had put together, oh gosh, a number of months ago, I think actually last year, and we've kind of kept working on it. As we gave the programs, we changed the color from black to red. Hopefully all of you can, or none of you are colorblind, so you can distinguish between those. I remember one business meeting I was in, we went to great trouble to put together a bunch of slides for the boss, pointing out things in different colors and so on. And at the first slide, he said he was colorblind. So that didn't work out well. But in any event, hopefully that doesn't apply to any of you. We've completed the ones in red. The one down here we're starting on today, and as I mentioned, JJ will be doing this one for next month, for March. So we've got a couple more on here. Please take a look at those, see if they're still relevant to you. If you've got some other ones that you think are more important, please let us know. Otherwise, we'll kind of work through this list. Okay, old business, member recruitment. We've talked about that before. We've had over the years some members move away. Unfortunately, we've had some who passed away or perhaps are no longer interested. We're shrinking in our membership, and we certainly want to extend a helping hand to anybody who could use it. JJ and I have talked about reaching out to local senior centers to make them aware of what we have and what we can offer to them, and we plan to move ahead with that. What I would ask of each of you, if you have friends, family members, people you meet at your church or in social groups or whatever, please encourage them to join. Liz, do you have a comment?
Well, no, I actually have a question. I'm just curious if anybody has heard from or knows anything about Alden Wells and Lois.
No, I have not heard a word about that. My understanding was, I don't know the details, but the last conversation I had with Alden was, oh gosh, what, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And he led me to believe that he had some illness, and he did not go into any details. So I honestly don't know.
Well, he's had kidney problems for a long time. And
Yeah.
Lois, I think, had dementia. And I'm just curious. And I think it was her son who was coming down to live with them.
Yes.
But I have not heard a thing. And I was just curious. I'm kind of wondering.
No.
Hard to reach them.
Anybody here from Mike Andrews?
Not recently, but I'm assuming he's live and well. He sort of surfaces every so often.
No,
We've got
actually, go ahead, Fred.
No, you go ahead.
Well, we got a notice from Fred's son, who has done roofing work for him. and he said he died.
Oh, my gosh.
And I know they got married in January last,
Yeah.
and so I don't know how to get in touch with her, but we keep meaning to ask Brian.
Okay. Well,
We didn't want to say anything until we were sure, but it's been 3 or 4 months now.
yeah. Well, I didn't think much of it because, as I said, he sort of
Yeah.
surfaces from time to time, and some of the other folks do too. Oh gosh. Well, if you hear anything, please let us know.
Oh, we will. We
Yeah.
will.
Okay. Okay, new business I mentioned, and the officer elections are due in April, so it is a 2-year term. So if you're interested, remember that you'll be serving 2 years instead of 1. And we welcome anybody who care to be considered. Okay, I mentioned the newsletters. I found a cartoon I couldn't resist. That's not in the newsletter, but it should be. I trust you can read the small print. And check out the helpful links. JJ put a lot of links in the February newsletter to articles from all over the web on all sorts of subjects. And so please take advantage of it. He's been scouring newsletters from around the country, APCUG push information, and on and on and on. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. Also, if you're excited about a recent tech purchase, Linda, if you care to write up a review on your new webcam, or anybody else has a new device that you bought to fill in the time while you're quarantined, please take a little time to write a product review and tell folks what you liked about it. Do you recommend it? Why do you recommend it? And send it to Mike, and we'll be happy to put it in the newsletter. Okay, happy birthday. I hope we have the months right. Mike, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I think it was, who was it? Tom Krissick. I think we kept giving him 2 birthdays every year. By now he should be 110, but we finally got that straightened out. He says, stop wishing me happy birthday. Judy Rayberger and George Washington, the George Washington, the original member of our LCAC organization way back when. He was born tomorrow.
Why not Lincoln?
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, well, George came first. Yeah, that's true. Abraham Lincoln too. You bet.
Yesterday.
Yes. Okay. And with that, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I'll make it.
I move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're officially adjourned. So give me a second and we'll shift gears, and feel free to chat among yourselves while I'm doing that.
I don't know if anybody else is experiencing zombie attacks. On Facebook, I got 2 different attacks where somebody that doesn't exist, but they have a name that I know well, show up if you don't know that about zombies.
Huh.
And this is on Facebook. Kurt.
No?
I went and searched on their ID a little bit and found out that they had no friends, and they were just suspicious.
What did they do? Did they respond to a comment or post things on your page or what?
I don't know. I started a conversation with one of them,
Oh, okay.
and I assume they just farm your stuff, but it's an interesting way to do it.
Huh.
And I fell for it. I've known for years that could happen.
Anybody else have any exciting tech-related news? Bill?
Aye.
Bill, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Bill Dittman? Nope,
No, we're not hearing him.
no, not hearing you.
I have a little something I'll mention as long while Bill is trying to get his going.
Sure.
I've on Facebook. I've been getting an awful lot of requests to be a friend, and I have no idea who these people are. You know, and a lot of them, most of them actually are foreign. I think from another country. You know, so I just delete them. You know, dismiss them. I don't engage with them at all or anything. So that's about it.
The harder ones are where you get it from people that you're already friends with and they've been hacked, and trying to get them, if they don't use it, people, at least my age, they don't always go look and they don't understand how to do anything. Sometimes you can carry on a long conversation and realize that it isn't the right person. I had that with one of my friends' mothers, and all of a sudden realized, no, this is not her, and contacted her son so that she could be taken care of.
Yeah, usually that happens, and you can tell because eventually they get around to, by the way, did you know about this product or service or whatever? That, you know, you can get it for free, and you know, just all you have to do is click on this link. When they go from just being your buddy and hi, how are you? Are you still doing well? And blah blah blah. Then all of a sudden they get into that, you know, it's a scam. Joyce had that.
That makes it obvious, but what I was having wasn't, and I was at theater doing it with this person. I mean, all of it sounded wonderful until they asked me about some particular thing, and I'm thinking, no, she would never have said that.
Right.
Yeah.
I get these calls, these warranty calls, and it says, click on something to get off the list.
Don't do
No,
it.
I'm not clicking on anything. Take me off the list. Well, yeah,
Never.
but I'm not clicking on your link. Get that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to speak fast because the sheriff is going to be here to arrest me.
Oh, yeah.
I got a
Oh,
call
yeah.
telling me that the other day. Yes.
Yeah, you have to go to Walmart and buy some gift
Oh,
cards.
yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, the IRS is big on you.
Oh, yeah, right.
I've noticed that at least at Jewel on the carousel where they have all the gift cards, they now have a flyer that says nobody, legitimate organization is going to ask you to pay a fee or a fine or anything like that by a gift card. If that's the request, it's definitely a scam.
That's good. That's good.
Bill is still trying to speak, and I still think doesn't have his microphone on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not muted, but
Bill, we're not getting an indication that you're muted, so your microphone must not be connected appropriately.
Either that or some setting, a setting.
Or he needs to turn up the volume on his setting.
Yeah, that could be too.
he's so frustrated, poor baby.
Oh, look at that.
Well,
Get a pad of paper and write it on the note.
yeah, you can chat. You can send in a chat message.
Oh yeah.
Down at the bottom of your screen, there's the little menu across the bottom. There's a chat box. So you can type a chat message and tell us what you want to ask about or share with us.
Thank you, Diane.
Oh, yeah, Diane. Diane just sent out a chat message saying he passed away Mike Andrews passed away September 20th, 2020. Strang Funeral Home has the obituary. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Dear.
terrible.
Well, okay, Diane, thank you for looking that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Phil, can I back up to the calendar of future meetings for a minute? Just the question, is
Sure.
the Zoom link the same for all of those as I post them into my Google Calendar?
Yes, I'm using a recurring link for these meetings. So it's the same. If you go back and check, it's the same link for this meeting as it was in January, as it was in December, and so on.
And it'll be the same going forward
Yes. Yeah.
least April and May. Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
well, yeah, I didn't know about that. And JJ, I think, suggested it to me, said, hey, instead of giving out just creating a new link every time you create a meeting, that way, if somebody didn't get the email or whatever, they can just use the link from the last meeting to get in. Okay, let me see what I'm doing here. I want to get back to my screen. Okay, well, if nobody has anything else to share right now, we can go ahead with the presentation. Give me a second to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Our files. We talked about programs. As I mentioned, this is the one about how to create your own email folders. Here's a little message you can read for yourself. So what I've done in this presentation is take the wording from that document of suggested programs as written, and I have put together a presentation about how to set up email folders, create your own email folders, but we also have the option of moving beyond that if that is not something you want to spend lots of time on. Why do we create files in the first place? If you step back and think about how many files do you have of one sort or another, you could probably categorize them into so many buckets. These are ones that I came up with, but I'm sure you can think of some other ones as well. Take a minute, read through there, but files can be electronic, they can be paper files, they can be collections of things, pictures, music, you name it. They're all files of one sort or another. And when all is said and done, we create files to save and retrieve something. Piece of information, a document, email, you name it, physical object. As an example of that, Dean and David, you might, Dave Glish, you might get a kick out of this. I have a neighbor born and bred in Wisconsin, a Milwaukee man who started out working for one of the breweries there, eventually went out to Coors in Colorado, worked for them for a while, came back here, worked at Abbott, and eventually retired. You may not find this surprising. In his basement, he has a room, a finished basement. He has a room set up with shelves all around the room on which he has a collection of about 300 or so antique beer bottles. So that's his file. You know, I mean, we have hobbies, we collect things, you know, and on and on and on. But in effect, that's a file as well. It's a file of things. Here are just a few examples. This is a picture from my basement, my poor man's 4-drawer file cabinet, courtesy of Target. Those are hanging files. Those plastic totes have hanging files in them of paper files of all sorts of things. And the beauty of this is you can use each file container for a particular subject. So if you want to work on something, you just pick it up and carry it off and work with it and come back and stack it back up again. So that's a form of files and filing systems. And behind that is another form. It's called a bookcase. We have them, probably everybody has at least one bookcase in their homes, maybe two or more. In this particular case, the bookcases are pretty well filled with cookbooks, part of my wife's extensive collection of cookbooks. another type of file. And then, of course, for young people these days, they probably wouldn't understand what this is at all. But for us, it's a picture album from way back when. This one happens to be with pictures from about 40 to 50 years ago. And of course, then we moved to carousels for slides, and then eventually to digital, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have digital files. Here's a file explorer from the computer. You've got OneDrive, you've got, or perhaps you have Dropbox or some other external storage. You've got, of course, documents, folders. You've got download folders, music, pictures, videos. You have an opportunity here. I've got a USB drive attached. You can have other external drives attached, as I've indicated down here in the corner. And then, of course, you can store files on your desktop if you want them handy for things you're working on, as I've done here. So these are just some examples of files and folders, if you will. As I said at the beginning, well, you can read this for yourself. I'll let you take a look at that. So let's start off with Yahoo Mail. This is a snapshot of my Yahoo Mail, and of course, it comes with automatically about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 folders, if you will, already built in. Yahoo builds them in. You can show them or not show them, use them or not use them, but they come with the territory. Then they have a category of views down here, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, which is also created by Yahoo Mail. And then we get to folders, which are created by the user. They're automatically listed alphabetically. You'll notice in this case, I've got a #1 follow-up at the top, because I wanted to create a folder where I could put emails that I would need to still work on, do something with, but I didn't want them to get lost in my inbox. So I moved them to a file folder there under my folders, and I wanted it to be at the top of the list, and I couldn't think of any name that was higher than AAA. So I put a number on there, and that's what that is. Let's go back for a minute to the views. I've expanded the views section here to show you what popped up. And these are file folders created by Yahoo. As I said, you don't have to use them. You can just hide them. And for example, this is photos. What they've done is, apparently, is extract photos from recent emails that I've received and stored them here in this photos folder. I'm not clear why. I have no intention of doing anything with them, but that's what these various folders here are. You don't have to use them. They will fill stuff in automatically. You can just hide them and move on. So let's talk about creating your own email folder. How do you create one of these folders? Well, you go down to folders and you look at new folder and click on that. And when you do, a box opens up for a new folder. Type in the name you want, in this case, activities, hit return, and lo and behold, you now have an activities folder in your email system. Simple, easy peasy. Okay, let's suppose you want to change or modify an existing folder. So here are some of my existing folders. In this case, I highlighted APCUG. Just hover your mouse over it. It'll highlight. You click on the little arrow, and it'll create a menu. The menu pops up. You can archive all the emails in that folder. You can empty the folder. You can move it, rename it, delete it, or create a subfolder underneath it if you choose to. So let's say you had, pick a number, 50 emails stored in there, and you look at them and they fall into maybe 2 or 3 categories. And you say, well, to retrieve them more easily, it might make sense if I created a couple of subfolders under there, and then I'll move I'll assign each email in the folder to one of those 3 subfolders. So that's one way you might use a subfolder. Let's go back to these move and rename and create a subfolder commands that you saw in that menu we just looked at. If you click on move, what you get is this box here, where it says select a new parent folder. And Yahoo assumes that when you are going to move a folder, you are going to make it a subfolder of some other existing folder. If you were simply going to rename it, you would still move it because it would be repositioned in your listing alphabetically should you give it a different name. But if you want to move it under their concept, it would be as a subfolder of a new parent folder. And if you'll notice, there's a little arrow here. So if you click here, you'll get a listing of all your folders. You can designate the folder that you want as the parent folder, click OK, and you will have moved your existing folder as a subfolder under one of your other folders. If you want to rename it, you click rename, and what happens is the name is highlighted in a box. You just erase it, type in your new name, hit return, and you've got the new name for your folder. If you want to create a subfolder, with that command, it creates a box underneath the existing folder. Type in the name for the subfolder, click, and you've created the subfolder. And then, of course, you would probably want to go back and select certain of the files, certain of the emails you have in your APCUG folder, and assign them, move them to the subfolder to take advantage of that. Let's look at some other helpful tidbits here, as long as we're talking about Yahoo Mail. This is the right-hand corner of your Yahoo Mail screen. With settings over here, and there's a little question mark here that I've circled in green that is for help. So if you click on that, what you get is the Yahoo Mail help section, and you can take a minute to look at it. You can see this is broad brush. It covers account, covers mail, sports, finance, subscriptions, and so on. In this case, mail is highlighted because we came from Yahoo Mail. And it gives a menu here of new mail for desktop, browse by topics, and you can go down here and, for example, find, organize, and restore emails, which is what we're talking about right now. If you click on that, you go to page number 1. These are all topics on organize and restore emails. In our case, for what we're talking about today, you will need to go to page 2 of this page. And here you will find create, delete, or rename folders in Yahoo Mail. If you were to click on that, you would then get this. Create a folder, create a subfolder, delete a folder or subfolder, and rename a folder or subfolder. Basically what we've just gone through, but if you forgot that, or you didn't have this handy, or you were a little confused or had a question, just open a bump and follow the instructions. And so that's pretty straightforward, but that's how you create personal folders in Yahoo Mail. I've also done a similar section to follow on Google Mail, because those are the 2 mail providers I use. But let's stop here for a minute and let me stop sharing my screen and get back to any questions, comments, information you'd like to share about email folders, files, tricks, things you've learned, so on.
Bill, I've got something I want to say.
Sure.
I know that Yahoo is discontinuing their groups. Are they also going to be discontinuing the emails?
I've not heard that, Dean. Now, you know, I started out with Yahoo way back with AT&T when I was using AT&T DSL as my internet service. And AT&T used Yahoo as their content provider. So if you signed up for AT&T DSL, you automatically got really an AT&T email account administered by Yahoo, and on and on and on. And Yahoo was an independent company back in those days. Yahoo has since been bought up by Verizon, and they've now somewhat severed connections with AT&T and email. So I still have one of my original AT&T email accounts that's sort of a Yahoo account. This one happens to be directly with yahoo.com rather than sbcglobal.net. I've not heard anything from Yahoo or Verizon or anybody else that suggests that anything's going differently with Yahoo Mail.
Okay.
What was it that made you ask the question? What have you seen?
Well, I know that they're dropping the groups. So a lot of people are going to groups.io, I believe it is, or transferring their groups over there. Yahoo is eliminating groups.
Okay.
And I was just wondering if they're going to be eliminating the email as well. So it's just something to maybe check into. I don't know. I don't know what's really happening with Yahoo. I personally, I have a Gmail account and
Okay.
been happy with them so far.
Yeah, I would think that if they had any plans to do away with Yahoo Mail, that they would certainly be sending out some indication ahead of time to their users. So, and I've seen nothing from them to suggest that. So, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. If you stop hearing from me suddenly, you'll know why.
Our club uses Google Groups.
Yes. Yeah, Dean, back to your point. Yeah, we use Google Groups, but we really just use that for email, right, Fred?
I can't think of other things, JJ.
Yeah,
No, we use it for emails. Yep.
group email, yeah. So yeah, all those emails you get from JJ and me and others are all courtesy of Google Groups. Okay.
I also personally, I use Google or Gmail, but I also am running Thunderbird on my computer.
Okay.
My wife and I both do, and I've been real happy with Thunderbird for many years. So you know, it just pulls in the emails from Gmail.
Isn't that a Ford product?
Is that a Ford product? Did you say?
Thunderbird, not
Funny,
a Ford.
JJ, funny.
Yeah.
Never. That's a wise guy. But a question on that, Dean. I looked at Thunderbird at one time. I believe that Lester, I don't see him on here anymore. Oh, there you are, Lester.
Yeah.
Don't you use Thunderbird?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I guess I raised my hand here on, there's a little hand raising.
Oh, yes, you did.
Because I have a couple of questions. On Yahoo, I didn't realize that they had subfolders, and that's one of the reasons why I use Thunderbird is because it has subfolders and subfolders and stuff. I don't know how deep it goes, but it goes plenty deep enough for, I've never ran into the bottom. So do you know if Yahoo, how deep does Yahoo go with their subfolders?
I don't know. I haven't tried it. I guess I haven't tried it. I don't use subfolders. I just have 199 folders. Why would you need a subfolder? I mean, so,
I've used it. I've only done one layer folders. That's it. Never subfolders.
Yeah. But I mean, in theory, I don't know why you couldn't have a subfolder under a subfolder.
Yeah, I do. I have multiple levels, just to keep organized, because I have one for finance.
Yeah.
So under that, I have credit cards and banks and stuff like that. And then the different credit cards providers. So that's another depth.
Sure.
So I have, you know, just to stay organized, that's why I use subfolders.
No, what I meant was that I don't see any reason, having just gone through this process of Yahoo, I see no reason why you couldn't create a subfolder under a subfolder and just kind of keep going. So if you care to play around with it, give it a try and see what you think.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
oh, another thing, one reason for using Thunderbird is that it brings in mail from multiple email accounts. And over the years, I think I got up to about 10 different, maybe 8 different email accounts. And so Thunderbird would bring them all in. I just click on the thing that says, okay, go out and fetch all my email from all these places. And it does that, and it puts them in the right place, you know, in the right inbox.
Yeah.
And so then I can go through and, of course, the downside of that is that you become responsible for every email that you download because it's on your machine, and unless you are cautious enough to back up your stuff, including your email folders or email storage, then you could lose it, you know, under the right or wrong circumstances. I have my stuff, my email backed up on like 3 or 4 different computers in my house, which I have attached through my network. And so I'm pretty unless my house burns down, then, you know, I'm kind of out of luck. Unless I can, if I grab my laptop and run outside in case of fire, well, then I have it, because my laptop is one of the places where I store all my personal stuff.
Yeah.
Along with my tower, you know, desktop machines. Let's see. I guess that was the 2 questions. How many levels deep?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I actually said the question, but in Yahoo, can you import or organize emails from other email providers?
Yes.
So I mean, like you can with Thunderbird, where you just go and click and down and they all get copied. Let's say I have, for example, I have a Gmail account and I have an AOL account and a Yahoo. Well, I think I deleted my Yahoo account because I didn't have anything useful anymore. When they deleted their groups, I said, well, I got no use for them anymore. So Yahoo is one of the few that I deleted, because you get too many after a while. You know, you get.
Yeah. To your question, to the best of my knowledge, you can. It seems to me every email provider I've dealt with has said, import your emails here, or your other email providers here, much as Outlook would do. Yes, you can bring Google Mail, bring other accounts in, and so forth. So I've not done that, but I believe that you can.
To answer the question on subfolders, Yahoo, I just tried it. Yes, you can.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep. What I was wondering about Thunderbird was that, as I recall, that used to be a Mozilla product, and I believe Mozilla severed relationships with them, and it's now an independent company. Is that right?
I believe
I
it is.
don't know about that. I think it's still under Mozilla, isn't it?
Well, I just downloaded a copy of Thunderbird for my Windows. I'm on Windows today.
Yes.
So I downloaded and installed it just now. And it said thunderbird.com. Let me see if I still have that up there. Oh, no,
Lester, when you get a
Thunderbird.
chance, put your hand down.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thunderbird.net.
Yeah.
So they have their own website now.
Yeah, I think that that Mozilla severed connections with them. I only wondered because when I had read that, I was wondering what was going to happen with Thunderbird, and I'm glad to hear it's still alive and well. So I've got a couple of comments here. Yeah, okay, Bobby, you've answered back. Ellen suggested we take a quick pause here and see if we can help Bill figure out why his microphone isn't working. Anybody have any suggestions, things for him to try?
Well, the
Does he
first
have a
question would
microphone
be, what
connected?
kind of equipment does he have? He might not even have a microphone. If he's on a laptop, he will.
Yeah,
But if he is on a PC, so Bill, are you on a laptop?
okay.
Yes.
Well, that's supposed to have a built-in microphone. So
Well,
unless,
if he's got a webcam, most webcams have built-in microphones.
So are you able to move your mouse down to the very bottom of the window? And then over on the left corner, see an icon that looks like a microphone that says mute or unmute? When you click on the up arrow next to it.
Yep.
Then try clicking on audio settings.
Microphone settings. And select which
Then-
microphone he may be using.
Right.
How
Test
about up at the
mic.
very top, select a microphone, make sure he has one selected.
Or just use one that says same as system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be for a laptop, but here again, if he has one plugged in, it's probably connected to his webcam.
Unless the webcam is built into the laptop.
Well, he's using a desktop.
I think he said he was on a laptop.
Oh, he's laptop, then it should be system.
Yeah.
Internal mic, could also use that one.
So now we have lots of people helping, but giving conflicting directions.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay. Well, Bill,
What
if-
about close down and try coming in?
yeah, sign out of the meeting, sign back in? No, okay.
At least he's got chat working, so
Okay.
sorry, Bill. If you have
Okay.
questions, you can
Just
chat to us.
fire a chat. Bobby, thank you for responding to Bill's question.
Well, as you notice, I'm in the meeting. Here again, my family reunion meeting is over with, and like everything else, we decided not to have a family reunion this year.
Oh, okay. All right.
We had to coordinate with our president, who was in France.
Oh,
Bye.
okay. Well, let me move along then with Google Mail, Gmail. We'll talk about Gmail, and then we can chat some more after that. So let me go back to sharing my screen. And where am I? Right here. Share. Okay. All right. So now we're into Gmail. I'm going to follow the same general format with Gmail. This is a Gmail screen, upper left corner, and you can see here their various inboxes. Now, don't do that to me. There we go. The various boxes down the side. The first ones here from inbox down to trash are generated by Google. They're built into the system. You don't have to show them all, but they're built in by Google. Categories is very similar to the views section that you saw in Google Mail. Once again, the provider has created certain buckets to put things in. You can use it or not. In my particular case, I don't use this, just like I don't use the view on the other side. And underneath that are what they call labels. Google refers to these as labels. They are in fact file folders, much as exactly as they are in Yahoo Mail. And you'll notice some of the same names on here that you saw in my Yahoo Mail. Excuse me. Okay. Just to show you the categories, expand the categories section. They have social, updates, forums, and promotions. Why they have those, I'm not clear, but in this particular case, in updates, you can see they arbitrarily assigned a number of emails that I received to their updates category. And some were from Google Play, they're from Inbox, they were about subscriptions, malware bytes, play order, you know, whatever. That's what it does. I'm not sure what the benefit is supposed to be, but in any event, that explains categories. So let's move on to, let's see, did I miss anything here? Let me move on to settings. Up here in the upper right, yes, the reason we're moving on to settings is we want to create a new folder or a new label, if you will. And instead of doing it as we did with Yahoo Mail, which had a little box there under the folders that you could click on to create a new folder, you do it through the settings up here in Gmail. Click on the settings button, and you get this drop-down menu that you see here, and it gives you a choice to see all settings. So if you want to see settings, you're going to see settings. Click that box, and you get this. And this is just part of a huge page which has all these different things covered in here. You can pick all of these things and go spend hours, if not days, sorting through all your choices in Gmail. But we're going to focus on labels because that's their version of new file folders. Click on labels. And down here, you'll see your existing labels or existing folders, and you can show them, hide them, remove them, you can edit them, and so on. But we're going to focus on create new label. Create new label. So when you click on that, you get this box. I just created one, Abacus, because it'll fit nicely in the A's. You can nest the label under an existing label, in effect, make it a subfolder of an existing folder. You hit create, and bingo, Abacus now appears in my list of file folders. So there you go. Now, let's move along here. And,
Phil,
yes.
it's Tom, with all due respect, I have found that I typically don't think far enough ahead to create my labels until I'm in an email and realize I want to file it someplace.
Yes.
In Gmail, if you have already selected an email, and I had found that you had to do this first, but when you have selected an email, then across the top are some icons to allow you to create a label just for that email on the fly, and even to move that email to a label that either already exists or that you create now because you realize you need it.
Okay.
Obviously, you're following a much more detailed, planned out path. Like I said, I'm usually have not thought that far ahead to realize I'm going to need that folder until I'm in the email and thinking, oh, where do I want to put it?
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that, Tom. That's good information. Yeah, that's great. Okay, good. Okay, so here I was looking at, as I did before, I was looking at how you might change something. And so here you go down through to one of your accounts. In this particular case, I selected ARP. You get a little 3 dots here instead of a little arrow like you did in Yahoo Mail. Click on that, and lo and behold, you get a new menu that pops up. And show up unread, hide, edit, remove label, or add a sublabel. So you can edit your label, you can remove the label, or you can add a sublabel underneath that if you so choose. So that would be a very similar process. Select it, highlight it, look at the menu, and go from there. If you want more help, more information, next to the little settings that we looked at in the upper right-hand corner is a question mark for help. If you click on help, You get a choice of help, training, and updates, and a chance to send feedback. So if you first go to help, what you get is this menu here on the left, drop-down menu, edit, delete contents, and so forth. You can read these and browse all articles, visit the help forum. And number 5 is organize email. And since we're talking about organizing email, I clicked on that. And here you go, organize email, and tells you to archive, delete, sort, filter folders with colors, categories, stars, importance. Tom, can I send all the questions on this to you?
Sure.
Sure, why not? Rules versus filters, and it goes on. It expands underneath there, archive and delete. So if you want to poke around in Gmail, there you go. You can do that. Then let's say that instead you clicked on this, go back here and you clicked on help. I'm sorry, training, that was help. Click on training. If you click on training, you get this, Gmail training and help, which has, you want help, here you go. Switching to Gmail, switching Gmail, cheat sheets, things to know, filters, choosing the right inbox, workspace, and so forth, so on. Another place to go for information about Gmail basics, cheat sheets, etc. More probably than you ever wanted to know about Google Mail. So that covers my Google Mail. We'll take a little break here. And does anybody, Tom's already given us one good tip. Anybody have any other suggestions or recommendations or experiences with Gmail? Dean, you mentioned you use Gmail all the time. Any more tips to share? You're muted, Dean.
I'm mute.
Okay. No, nothing more really. I have a couple of Gmail accounts. One I access usually just on the web, but otherwise I access my email through Thunderbird.
Okay.
So it's very seldom do I have to go to Gmail. Although something I will have to mention, I'd like to mention, Gmail kind of holds onto a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a category in there. It's called all email, I think it is.
Yeah.
And whether you sent email, so it will hold emails that you have sent. It will hold all mails, but I have it set up so that as I retrieve my email into Thunderbird, it deletes them from the inbox. So it doesn't that doesn't fill up, but.
So it would no longer be on Google servers?
Right.
Okay.
Right. But it's still in all mail.
Yes.
There's one category, I believe it's called all mail or all email or something like that.
Okay.
So.
Bobby?
That's a Thunderbird setting unless it's changed. I haven't used Thunderbird for a while. It doesn't have to, it can leave it on the server. As against, in other words, give you a copy on your thing and leave it. It's a setting somewhere. I use a program and I've been trying to load it during this and Gmail didn't want to load with what else is going on and with this old computer that I use for Zoom meetings. But I use something and I think it's called CRM where I a note on the email, it opens up a space. So I have a note and the note is in yellow. I can choose the color and it tells me this was about Phil telling me about blah, 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 or whatever I want to write there. I use it mostly for my genealogy to separate it. Like, is it on this subject? Did I just place an order this day? Is it groceries from Aldi's? And I'll mark it that way. So that gives me some alternates, but I'll have to write it because Gmail isn't loading on either browser I tried during the presentation. I noticed also, which I haven't done, but you can color, I noticed it when Phil put it up, that you can color your folders which is something I use something to color my folders on my computer, on my main computer. I do a lot of subfolders because otherwise I wouldn't be able to. You also can switch easily on your phone on Gmail from one email account to another by just clicking the profile picture. It doesn't work quite as well on the web, but it works. You can switch your accounts that way so that you see them. One reason to erase things is because Google is taking away space on Drive. So you might want to look at all those sent emails and all the old folders that you've had around and make sure you still want to have them so that before June, you'll be rid of all the excess stuff or all the multiple photos that you might have collected on Gmail, Google.
What's the significance of June, Bobby?
That's when Google is changing and it'll charge you if you have over a certain amount. It's
Okay.
always been a free service. Your Google Drive has been a free service.
I
And
thought
so
it had,
in June, that is changed.
yeah, I
Well, I
thought
ran into getting a warning from Google that I was using up my space. And I think it was for $20 for a year, I was able to kick it up significantly. So I went ahead and did that because as Bobby is saying, Google Drive, all your Gmail, any of the photos, everything is counting against that space allowance.
yeah, I recall that I had like 15 gigabytes free with Google Drive, and that I was at 9 point something or other. So yeah, obviously, whatever the limit is, you need to be sensitive to that. JJ, did you raise your hand?
Well, I had my hand up because I'm looking at my Google Drive and I think I need to clean up promotions because I have 77,000 emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's maybe eating up my drive space.
Yeah.
Google is my trash email.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to notice that if you put a special character like a pound sign, if you rename an item to contain that as the first character, it'll be the first thing in that list. It's kind of like putting a number first, but
yes.
this means it doesn't confuse you about what's the sequence. And you might create pound sign files in different folders.
Okay. I notice in the chat section, Cynthia Simmons has a question. 3 categories, inbox and Gmail, 3 categories, inbox, social, and promotional. Well, inbox, I'm not sure I understand the question completely, Cynthia, but the inbox, of course, is the new mail coming in. I'm not familiar with social and promotional, although those could be those categories that I pointed out earlier. And as far as I can see, there's no reason you have to use them. So I would go ahead and create my own independent email folders and file things the way you like. I'm not sure if that answers your question. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
Promotional is all the junk mail you get from different companies and stuff like that. It's not personal mail.
Yeah.
That's where I got the 77,000 as promotional.
Okay.
Social is ones you get basically from friends and people. I got some trash in there also. And then forms is basically mostly that's club stuff for me.
I guess the question was, can you delete things from that file?
Yeah, well, basically you can go in and put check marks, next to it and spend, a couple hours deleting 77,000 emails.
Or
I know there was a way to delete, like you can delete a whole page or stuff like that, but it will take me a while, whichever way I do it, to get rid of all this garbage I have in Gmail. Like I said, this is my junk email account.
Cynthia.
My question is, I never created those 3 categories. The inbox
Automatic.
makes sense because that's the default. but this promotion and social, I never do anything to it, and it continues to receive in-store mail. And that means if I want to check to see what's there, I have to make separate action to open that one of those two tabs, social or promotional, and act to police them or file them. And I never put them there to begin with. And that's annoying because it's an extra, it's segregated and I don't like it.
Well, I just looked at mine and they're all duplicates of items that are already in your inbox. So you never have to look at the categories. You just work with your inbox and your subfolders as you are used to doing and just ignore that they're there.
Thank you.
Although it does beg the question whether that adds to your storage. In other words, if it counts twice, if an email is put in there, something from an email is put in one of Google's folders automatically, and you also save that email in your own subfolder, does that in effect double count against your quota on storage? I don't know the answer to that, but if it does, then that's one more reason to maybe purge that file. So,
my guess
A
is
related
no,
question.
because for example, in my social category, everything that's there is not labeled social,
okay.
but it's labeled inbox.
Ah, yes.
So my guess would be that it counts, it's like a relational database. It's in the
It's indexed.
Google, the Gmail server once with different labels on it. And at this point, inbox is the only label that it's attached to, or that's
So
attached to it.
you would say it counts once.
So I would say it counts once,
Yeah, okay.
but it has multiple labels like a relational database would have.
Bobby?
When you categorize, when it has its categories, you can eliminate the categories also. But if you just say, okay, and you do a setting that you don't want those, it still puts them there. However, when you archive, you don't want to do that with the whole thing. You want to archive it just to a particular folder, which you've already divided it. If I could get my Gmail to actually open on this the right way, I could show you what I mean, but I think I could write up an explanation of how you do that. But I take it out of a promotion and I'll put it in an inbox, or I'll just put it in my genealogical studies folder by eliminating inbox and promotion or update or whatever thing Gmail has put it in. So it's only in one spot. I'm not sure whether it keeps it in the many taking up space. It might, because when I tried to eliminate all of their categories, I found that they were still there when I actually opened up and actually looked at the boxes and said, don't hide this. It still was over there. So you can take it out of it, you can alternate it and move those around.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else on Gmail?
Nope. Get on there.
Nice kitty.
Okay. All right. Well, let me move backwards then. To go to. Okay. Thank you for your thoughts. How about other email providers? Anybody have any questions about those or any suggestions? We've talked about Thunderbird. We've not talked about AOL. We've not talked about Comcast. We've not talked about some of the others. So let me just stop my sharing for a minute here and get back to that. Anybody using any of those other email providers and you have any questions for the group, please ask them. If if nobody else is using them or nobody has any questions, we'll just move on.
Is anybody using Outlook?
I am.
I am.
Well, Outlook's like some of the other ones. It pulls an email from all your email accounts. I quit using Outlook dozens of years ago, but yeah, I know it's still around.
My wife likes Outlook. She's very dedicated to it.
Yeah.
She got a new computer recently, and in setting up Outlook, and this is the full version that comes with Microsoft Office, not the Outlook.com that replaced Hotmail as being provided by Microsoft. We found there have been some changes. Now, AT&T, or actually sbcglobal.net, is the old email provider that she uses, and trying to get that set up, they've made some changes. They don't like Outlook. They don't think it's secure enough. And they've also changed from being by default a POP mail service to being an IMAP mail service. So we ended up with all kinds of duplications. We ended up with all kinds of different views than she was used to on her old computer when we reinstalled or installed a new version of Outlook onto her new computer. It was not a painless, seamless transition.
I can agree with that. We just, I just built a new computer last fall and had quite a few folders built into Outlook, and those stayed on the old computer and they didn't cross over to the new one.
I think part of that is because the old computer and the old version of Outlook was probably expecting them to be a POP that had been downloaded to the local drive, as opposed to now the default is as an IMAP, which of course stays on the server. So trying to synchronize and get everything she wanted from the old computer to the new computer, like I said, it was not a painless process.
Right.
Tom, I also have Outlook, the full version. And I like it because I can just click on it and, I'm in my email. But I've had a lot of problems when I try to move something, or it says, no, it can't move it. Well, then I go to my Comcast because then I got to sign in and it's a pain and I got to use my two-factor. And I don't like to do that. But when I want to organize everything, it synchronizes with Outlook synchronizes it. I can do more in my Comcast. It's easier to organize everything, but Outlook, it can be a headache sometimes. It really, I know what you're talking about, but I've had it for years, and it's a real handy thing, and, but in the past, I was having problems with my Comcast. I had all these little bitty folders on the bottom, and I'm tearing my hair out for almost a week. I didn't know what to do. And I go, what is this? Is it Comcast? Well, Bob finally got tired of me suffering, and I called Phil. I says, I am the help desk and I need help. Who do I call? What do I do? And I couldn't get any email. It was a disaster. So I think in one of our meetings or our dinners or our picnics or whatever, somebody mentioned white box computers. So I Googled him. He's in Gurnee. So Bob called him 8:30 at night. I know he has hours till 9 o'clock. Well, I made a house call. Well, we're both wearing our masks. So I says, well, I got to get this computer fixed. I can't, I got to have email. So I called this guy. He came over. I called him at 8:30 at night. He was over by 10 in the morning. And the reason I had all these pop-ups on the bottom of my Comcast, well, he looked, and in my Google, I have Google Chrome and I have all these extensions on there, and my pop-up blocker was on. Somehow it was giving me trouble. So he cut that off. Oh, then my emails came back. And then I had a problem. I couldn't even get another problem. I wasn't getting emails at all. I had unclicked something. So Outlook needs, there was something in Outlook I needed. So this guy fixed, I told him about our club too, and I was wondering, oh, maybe he could give a talk. He's a young man, nice young man. I think he's a one-man company, whatever. But I need help now. I used to go to Phil in Lindenhurst. He's helped me in the past, but he doesn't do Windows 10 anymore. So I had to find somebody. And I don't want to go to the companies like Comcast, Best Buy. They're expensive over there. So I was very happy with Whitebox. And yeah, he helped me. And he also says when people on their desktop, they got all these open folders. He says, when you start up your computer, you got to load up every one, takes more time. Well, I had my stuff in folders. I know how to do that, which is, good. And I'm still working on my mail. I got a lot of junk I need to clean up too. And I've heard about Google, you're going to have to pay if it's over a certain limit by June. So I know I was aware of that. And so also I asked him about a VPN. I said, what about putting a VPN on a router? He said, oh, that's hard. Maybe with my router, with my Eero, no, that can't be done. And I'm not going to buy another router. So what he suggested, I didn't realize how you get an app for a VPN, put it on all your devices, and you can click on there. And so I says, well, which ones are good ones? He says, well, Nord VPN is a good one. And then he uses IPVanish. So I've been kind of looking, so I may get a VPN one of these days. But like I said, Brian was here, it was a couple hours, it was $90 an hour. I guess, I'm sure Best Buy charges a lot more than that. Maybe my bill would have been $400 if, the geeks came over here. So I was very happy with him. So, I was, like I say, I know when you get frustrated, it's terrible. It's awful. So if anybody ever needs any help, maybe I can help. I don't know how good I am with doing remote. I can't really do anything remotely. I don't have the business or whatever you need, the pro. I don't have that. I think I've checked it out. And if I try to help somebody one time remotely, I can't do it. I'd have to have the pro. But he does also remote. Brian does remote. So if I ever have a problem, but most of the time I've had computer, 15 years, I've learned to do a lot of stuff myself, which I could save money, and be efficient. So,
Thanks.
okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I was wondering how your experience went with them.
Yeah, I was very happy. Yes.
That's a good idea. I'll contact them. And there's also Zyrtec, I think it is the name.
Yeah.
Zytec ended up helping us get Donna's straightened out, and I worked with him a couple of times, and he's also very good.
Yeah.
Very patient, very creative.
Yeah.
I've used Zyrtec twice for 2 computers. I had one upgraded, put a solid state drive in it.
Yeah.
And I think his name was Paul out there.
Paul.
Yep, it's really good, really helpful. They're stuck in a little strip mall off of the old Grand Avenue, but he real good service.
Yeah.
And he's right next door to my barber.
You gotta find good
that's
people.
why I back my car to a barber shop and go to his store. But anyhow, real good service, reasonable prices. He doesn't charge anything to look at the computer, he just charges for service, and was a heck of a lot cheaper than taking it to the Geek Squad at Best Buy.
Oh, they're real expensive. No, Brian doesn't charge for the house call. He just charges, hourly, whatever, which I think is reasonable because Best Buy charges, when he came over, $200. That was 15 years ago. So I know they're expensive. Yeah.
Best Buy charges $90 just for a look.
Yeah.
I'll plan to get in touch with them and see if either of them would like to come do a presentation.
Yeah, I was mentioning that to him. I thought I'd,
good idea.
Advertising, and I like to support the small business person, instead of the big corporations. They have enough money already. So
I think Tom was the one who introduced me to Zytec, and I dropped off a bunch of our business cards with him last time I was there.
Okay, all right. I never heard of that one, but yeah, but like I said, it was somebody in our club that mentioned that was a few years ago. And I remember White Box because I had it in my email or something. So I remember that. It might have been, who's the guy from Kenosha? I can't think of his name. I always forget his name. What is the guy that's, he's retired?
Henry Henriksen?
Henry, I think he's the
Henry,
one.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
he's the one that mentioned. I'm gonna have to thank him, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You,
Okay, anything else about emails that we haven't covered?
Could someone put on chat or repeat slowly the names of the small companies that provide service? White Box is very simple, but the other 2 or 3 companies.
Tech is in the newsletter.
Yes.
I have his
Oh,
card in
yeah?
the newsletter.
Okay, I'll look. Thank you.
Okay,
Phil, how do I determine how much space my Gmail is taking up? You were talking about a limit with Gmail. I was wondering,
Yeah.
I don't have a clue how to find out. I went into the question and I couldn't figure it out.
off the top of my head, I don't have a quick answer. I'd have to poke around myself because I've never looked at it.
It's on the bottom somewhere.
Yeah.
It's on the page.
It's
Mhm.
gotta be there somewhere, but
Yeah, I've looked it up. Mhm.
I'll put it in the notes and send that out. Gary, let me make a note of that.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate it.
Does anybody else using Outlook contacts on a cell phone?
No.
I have Apple, no.
No.
I
How
just,
about, do you have Outlook contacts on your Windows?
Windows, Outlook, yeah, I have no, I don't, that's screwed up. I haven't checked with that because I have it on my phone through Apple.
Anybody else have Outlook on their phone or are intending to put it on their phone?
No.
Yeah, I've not found much information on what its capabilities at all.
Okay, sorry, Phil, I have an answer to the question. How do you find out how much you're using of your Google storage?
Yes.
Open your Google inbox. Scroll down to the bottom of the page. And it will tell you in the lower left-hand corner under your list of emails. But this is at the bottom of any page of email list, at least this is where I just found it. It'll tell you that you're using so many gigabytes of your allowance.
Tells you how
Oh,
many
yeah.
gigs you got and how many are used.
Yeah, so after
All right.
buying my expanded, like I said, I think it was for $20 for a year, I have 102 gigabytes of storage with them. And it's telling me I'm currently using 14.31 gigabytes of that. And before buying the expansion, I think you were allowed, Bobby, did you say it was 15 or
15.
17 or something like that? And that's
15.
why I bought
think
the
it's 15.
expansion.
Yeah.
Because I was at 14 point something out of the 15.
Yeah.
And it was giving me all these warnings. So I went ahead and bought whatever the first paid level is. But it's on the bottom of any page of email. So you just open your Gmail account, pull all the way to the bottom, and in the lower left-hand corner, not in the pane with all of your labels,
Nope.
but the pane with the actual emails, you'll get this information.
Got it.
Thank you.
It's telling me I'm using 13 gigs of 15 and I'm 90% full. That's at 77,000 emails I got to get rid of.
Yeah, well, I got you beat on that, but we won't talk about it. How many I have and how many are unread.
It only allows you to get rid of 50 at a time.
Yeah, it's like well, no, if you do a search on a particular sender, you get the first page, you click up at the top box where it selects everything on that. It'll also prompt you, do you want all the results of this search to be whatever you're about to do with them, delete them, archive them, whatever. So if you're sure that everything that responded to that search is the same, has the same characteristics that are leading you to want to get rid of those, you can do more than 50 at a time.
Okay.
Good to know. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay.
I also checked, and if you go to onegoogle.com/storage, one spelled out, it'll tell you how much you have in your Google Drive, your Gmail, and your photos.
Oh, okay.
David, what was that address again?
one.google.com/storage.
Okay. Okay. And storage. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we're almost done here, but let me go back to my presentation and see what other words of wisdom I may have. Okay, we talked about other providers. Let me move on. And okay, so looking ahead for the next meeting after JJ does his presentation on all-in-one computers, here are some questions to ponder. Catalog our files, and now here we're speaking about files in general, our data files, our physical files, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And please, if you can think of additional questions, things to look at and consider, please send them to me or post them in a group email to the whole group so that we can have a productive conversation next time around. But, you know, for example, in file media appropriate, when we talked about digital afterlife, we talked about things that you wanted to save for a long time, be it pictures, be it other things. And you put them on the old floppy disk. Well, it's hard to find something that even plays floppy disks anymore. Does data gradually degrade over time? If you burn DVDs, do those degrade over time, and whatever? So these are just some thought starters for next time. And with that, that'll conclude our presentation for the day. Thank you. You've been a good audience. It's great to see everybody. Anybody, any final words here before we call it a day?
I sent out an announcement for everybody to upgrade to the latest version of Zoom. Hopefully everybody's got that. So when we have a meeting, if you have a question or something, please use the reactions at the bottom and raise your hand. That will pop you to the top of the screen and we can see who's got their hand up instead of people waving at you.
Oh.
Okay.
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 Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, JJ.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Happy Valentine's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Happy
I know.
Valentine's, everybody.
Happy day.
You.
Thank you.